jump in the back of the pickup truck and join us for a ride back to the good old days.
Are you telling me that you built a time machine?
A nostalgic podcast based on entertainment and memories from the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. Come with us and revisit the best time ever. So jump on your BMX bike, pop a heavy metal tape into your Walkman, and hang on tight while you go back to the past with us.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Hey all, and welcome to Pastimes at 80s High. This is AJ. We are going to talk about our nostalgic podcast, talking about the 70s, 80s, early 90s. Today we are going to do episode 1, kind of an introduction to what this is going to be all about. And I'm from New Hampshire, 52 years old, and I just love, hanging out with my buddies and talking about the greatest times ever. I just like to, go back to those days where things were just simple and awesome. And to my right over here, which you folks can't see, I have Donald.
Hi, I'm Donnie, or Donald, or Dongo. I have multiple nicknames. The Dongo comes from the wonderful time that we had watching 16 Candles. I'm hopefully not trouncing on anybody's future pick, but that's kind of where my nickname evolved from. Dave Haley, who runs the podcast in New Hampshire Sports Page. So shout out to him. It's an awesome website if you want to listen to that. He started calling me the Donger after 16 Candles, and then it kind of evolved into Dongo. So I'm a jack of all trades, master at none, 52 years old, still trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. I've done multiple things, gone to music school, joined the Navy, been a firefighter, paramedic, so kind of done it all kind of thing.
A jack of all trades, right, and a master of said trades.
Not really.
And awesome. And none of us know what we want to do with our lives yet.
Right.
Awesome. And now to you, Kev.
So as AJ mentioned, I am Kevin, a little bit older than the last two. I'm 54. I love talking about what we did in the 80s, 90s, and beyond, when life was a little better, whether it was the time period or the time in our lives, our ages, who could tell? But it seems like the music, the movies, and everything were much better then.
Oh,
get off my lawn.
Damn right. All right. And last but certainly not least is my brother Mark.
Okay, my name is Mark. I was born in Littleton, New Hampshire. I currently reside in Ware, New Hampshire.
Where?
Yeah, you're a funny guy. And I'm 59, so I'm the oldest one in the group. And you'll hear more 70s stuff from me because that's where I did a lot of growing up. It was in Littleton, New Hampshire, and there'll be a lot of references to Littleton. I really miss how simple it was. By far the most thing that I miss is all the family we had up there. It was such a close-knit family, big Lebanese family, and we used to gather at my aunt's house in the same duplex, and we'd have 30, 40 people down there at a given time. So that's my story.
Unbelievable. Yeah, those were great times for sure. All right. Well, what we're going to do today for episode 1 is kind of give everyone a little bit of a hodgepodge, or what do they call it on Jeopardy? A potpourri. It's just a bit of everything. We're going to do a lot of our lists are going to be like top 7s. So we're doing 7 items today, and we're going to do a little bit of everything, like I said. And to start off, we are going to go with movies, and I'm going to kick it off today. And this was very, very difficult for me because obviously there's just so many incredible movies from those decades. But this is, what was meaningful to us. And my pick for movie is The Outsiders.
Nice.
All right. 1983. The memories I have from this movie are just so friggin' amazing. I mean, Guilford, New Hampshire. Went to the local theater with probably about 3 full rows of people. Had to be at least 20 of us. pizza place right next door to it. We would always go there to Papa Gino's after the movies.
Back when it was still good.
Yeah, back when it was great. And, the memories of this to me, one I can't talk about, but, the movie itself just, you look at the actors and actresses in that movie. I mean, God, the people that came out of that, it was just friggin' amazing. And, being a 12-year-old kid or whatever I was at the time, just to see the Greasers and the Socs and we all wanted to be the Greasers, of course. But God, you had Patrick Swayze, Tom Cruise, Rob Lowe, Emilio Estevez. I'm not going to name the whole cast, but just an incredible movie.
Dillon.
Matt Dillon, absolutely.
C. Thomas Howell?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Jerry Valance.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Lots of them. Anyway, you get the fucking point, everyone. Anyway, now just a quick story to end this, and then I'll move to you, Donald. But the reason is we got out of this movie, and this is, yes, a good memory, I'm calling it, but we go to Papa Gino's just like always. And afterwards, everyone's thinking they're the Greasers and in a gang. And I proceed to walk to Papa Gino's and get punched in the nose by Russell Bean and from Laconia. And, it was like the two gangs at the time. And he's a great guy now. We get along great. I haven't seen him for a few years, but I'll never forget that. He broke my nose. Anyway, yep, that's my awesome memory.
There was always a thing, don't F with the beans.
That's a different family, though.
Yeah.
Yep. Awesome. That's to you, Don. For
All
movie.
right. So I'm going to cheat a little bit. I have to, because to narrow this down is so hard for favorite movies. So I texted everybody last night and I said, Star Wars, right? Who's doing Star Wars? And I'm just putting that one aside because that's an obvious. Like, we were all in that age bracket where Star Wars was just amazing. Hit us at the right time. So I'm going to pick Star Trek as mine. And I'm going to go with the motion picture, Star Trek, the motion picture, but also there's like a 5-movie kind of series with, the Wrath of Khan and The Voyage Home, The Search for Spock, because that kind of also ties into the TV series. I love the TV series as well, but I love Star Trek. I love Spock. I love Captain Kirk. I love the humor that they have in there.
And, awesome.
There's a lot of stuff about that movie that I like. So I picked Star Trek.
Green women with 3 breasts.
Oh yeah.
Right. Kev,
Is your name Sheldon or
moves us?
Oh,
to
I am
you,
a geek.
Kev.
I am a definitely geek.
So I'm going to go a little further back because we do include the 70s. And I really thought hard about this. And of course, Donnie is absolutely correct. If we all had to pick one, it would probably be Star Wars. Maybe not Mark because he's so fucking old, but just kidding, buddy. Just kidding. But there are so many contenders for this. I mean, think about it. You're talking about literally 3 decades with just a ton of phenomenal movies, whereas the ensuing 3 decades, there are probably like 3 good movies. But anyway, so I'm going back to 1974 with The Godfather 2.
wow.
And I tell you this. Yes, I did enjoy 2 better.
Yeah.
The reason I love this movie is at this point because it's like sitting down and being able to go back in time, what we can't do, and go back in time and have dinner with our family. Right. I mean, that's what watching that movie is like, the ending of it where they're all sitting there together and everybody's still alive. It's those characters are so familiar to me at this point that I can, if you're flipping channels and it's on and it's not a billion advertisements, which is pretty rare.
Yeah.
But I will sit and watch it until they have a barrage of ads because it's that comfortable. It's that familiar. Yeah. Never mind the fact that all of those actors are some of the greatest that we've ever produced.
Yeah. All time.
And I would feel, and I was thinking about it, I would feel that way about that movie if it hadn't got the accolades that it got, because I really could give a rat's ass about Oscar winners. And I don't care.
Yeah.
Either I like a movie. Most of the movies that I really like would be under the Oscars snub category. Doesn't matter to me about the Oscars. But
So true.
Just a great movie.
So The Godfather, I can't remember if it was 3 or 2. The one he keeps saying, I keep trying to get out, but they keep pulling me back in.
Yeah.
Was that 3 or 2?
I believe that was 3.
That might be 3,
Was
which
that
wasn't that
soliloquy.
great, but that was a great line in that movie.
Yeah, 3 is out of the
Andy
2.
got-
One and 2 are just fantastic, but 3 is just kind of, I don't know if they were
Which one
trying
did he
too
whack
much.
Fredo in? Was that 2?
That was 2.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Oh, I know. That's it. And
Give
all
that to
the
me, Fredo.
all the folklore about the orange. There's an orange in every scene before somebody gets whacked,
Yeah.
and all of that stuff that he put in. And the other great thing about that's new, Miles Teller, that was in the Top Gun sequel, was in this miniseries called The Offer, which talks about how how the producer became the producer of The Godfather and the troubles that he went through with the mafia and whatever else.
Right.
A good watch on, I think, Paramount.
Absolutely. All right, Mark.
Okay, well, my pick actually goes back a little bit into the 60s. However, most of the movies, because I'm picking the whole 5, the Planet of the Apes series.
Yes.
Just remember this. I mean, when it came out, I was a little kid, and they get off the plane and they see scarecrows, and what was it? Heston goes, "Damn the scarecrows," because they heard water. So they ended up in the water swimming, and next thing you know, these mute humans were like they stole their clothes. But the anticipation is absolutely building and building and building. And then all of a sudden, the first gorilla comes into scene, and it was just like, oh my God. and a little run back here. The gorillas were the militant ones. The chimps were the doctors and the peaceful ones, and then the
educated class,
and then the orangutans were scientists. So, and then the end of this movie it's really iconic,
Classic. Yes.
Dr. Zaius. Charlton Heston had a gun, and he says, "I'm pretty handy with this," and Dr. Zaius says, "Of that I'm sure." And then Dr. Zaius says to Cornelius, "Read the 7th scroll. Beware the beast man, for he is the devil's pawn. He kills for sport." Then it ended with Battle 4, when Ape has finally killed Ape.
Yes.
Okay.
Ape shall never kill ape.
I know.
Let alone an ape child.
All right. All right. So now we're going to move on to the next category, which is it's going to be a 2A and a 2B. And I guess what I'll do is I'll do both mine and then move forward. And that is actor and actress. So my actor will be Harrison Ford. You have Han Solo. You have Indiana Jones. And then just so many other iconic movies through then. The Fugitive being one of my favorites. He was just friggin' cool. And I mean, he's Han Solo, which is really all I have to say, because as Donnie and Kevin kind of talked
what else
about.
was he? That was amazing. Indiana Jones, right?
Yes.
Oh, hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Said that.
Which
Absolutely.
was like, that was awesome.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, those are, some of my favorite movies. We'll get into the Star Wars saga someday on a different show, but that'll be enjoyable for a lot of you because we have a love-hate relationship there.
Harrison Ford actually had an amazing, I think, 17 seconds in Apocalypse Now as well. Yeah.
Really?
He did.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Really brought the scene to life.
Right.
as
I
a
like the
young
Blade
actor.
Runner. Forgot
Blade Runner, yes.
Yeah, just so many movies. And then for my actress, I'm picking Michelle Pfeiffer. I mean, not only did I find her incredibly gorgeous.
She still is.
Oh, she still is.
Yeah, she's
Yep.
aged gracefully.
But I mean, one of my favorite movies of all time with her was Tequila Sunrise. Just incredible movie with Mel Gibson and Kurt Russell. I loved that. And I mean, who couldn't love her as Catwoman?
oh, yeah.
She looked pretty fargin' good.
That would be just off topic a little bit. That would be a good topic for a future discussion is like, who's the best Batman? Who's the best Catwoman? Who's the best Superman? You know, that
Bruce Wayne.
Right.
Absolutely. Bruce Wayne.
Right.
Damn right.
All right. So then, Donald.
All right. So my 2A actor is going to be Eddie Murphy.
Yes.
Love Eddie Murphy. His acting is, I wouldn't say he's my favorite actor per se, but he's my favorite, like you said, who touched you or who, like he makes me crack up every time I see him. But like 48 Hours, Trading Places, Beverly Hills Cop. Trading Places is probably one of my favorite comedies.
Incredible.
And he was just awesome. That's when he was at his pinnacle. And then like his like Delirious and Eddie Murphy, comedian and Raw. Just there, you can't say him now.
Coming to America.
Yeah, exactly. Coming to
just
America.
Awesome movie. Yeah. So he's my 2A. And then for 2B, this is going to be a little outside pick, but not too much, is Jamie Gertz.
Yes.
She's a smoke show, and she's always been a smoke show. But she's also a very good actress as well. I know, because you can kind of do the hot crazy matrix with acting. You can go hot or you can go good actress, and it's hard to find that perfect. But they're there, and she's awesome. Believe it or not, she was in 16 Candles. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But she had a very small part.
She was the dork, right?
Yeah.
Wicked dork in there. Yep.
Crossroads.
I loved Crossroads. That was an awesome
Yes.
movie. Yeah. She
Lost
Ralph
Boys.
Macchio. Yeah, I love
Right,
that. Yeah.
That's one of my favorites.
Ralph Macchio had no business being with her in Crossroads.
That's why it's
But that's
movies.
why
They
you
make
can
He's older
pretend.
than
But
you
if
think,
you can
too.
play a guitar, you can get the chicks.
That's
So-
right.
Exactly.
That's,
And
you know,
that's
that
a
kind
fact.
of, that kind of,
Crazy.
but
Proven.
she's awesome. I mean, she's kind of like the Kevin Bacon of female
6
actresses.
degrees, yeah.
'Cause she's been in Seinfeld, and she's been in Family Ties and ER and like all kinds of TV too. So she's
She
been all over the
cannot
place.
spare a square.
Cannot spare a square.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's
Great
that.
pick.
You don't
Yeah.
have a spare square?
Awesome.
Square to spare?
So, Kevin, to you.
All right. 2A. Again, much debate, as there is a huge well to draw from here, but I finally decided on Mr. Mom, Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Nice.
Batman. Multiplicity was one of his later ones in that era, and it did not get a lot of recognition. And he plays several variations of the same character as he's being cloned, and he does such a great job at it. I mean, you see the movies, either the Trading Places movies, not Trading Places, but the
Right.
Freaky Friday stuff or something like that, and they fall short so many times. But he really he brought each of those characters to life as a variation of the main character. But
hell yeah.
just, I mean, the guy would have you in stitches. He could just go off on a tear.
He's an amazing
And
actor.
yeah, Beetlejuice.
Great actor.
I mean,
Which is coming back again.
yes, yes.
With him again. yeah.
With how could you not?
That'll be interesting.
Who's going
Right.
to take his
Right,
place?
Right.
Johnny Dangerously, of course. I mean,
the
Yeah.
Oh, God.
fantastic.
You fired against ISO? Is that that one?
So,
Yes.
Yes.
You fired
will
against
hear-
sneaky bastard.
Yes.
Bastard
You will
jeez.
hear many quotes
Right.
from Johnny Dangerously on this podcast.
Yes.
Without question. Moving right along, actress, a little bit harder because we're talking about our favorites, not the best. I would think from that era, if you're going to go best for actress, it would be Meryl Streep.
Meryl
course.
Streep,
I think
yeah.
I
know, I would
right?
agree.
I think
Yeah.
we're all kind of
Yep.
right, but that was not my choice. My favorite was Diane Lane. Just
Nice.
so, I mean, Outsiders,
Of course.
Rumblefish,
Jerry.
Cotton Club, and then one of my personal favorites, Streets of Fire.
Yeah.
A somewhat forgotten post-apocalyptic kind of William Dafoe scares the
classic.
crap out of you.
Was she in King Kong? Was that Diane?
I think
Lane?
Jessica
No.
Lang.
Oh,
I think you think it's Jessica
Okay,
Lang.
sorry.
Also, and to go back, Color of Money was actually the sequel to The Hustler, which
That's
was
what it
not
was.
Redford. It was Newman. I
Newman,
apologize.
that's
That's
what
why
I
I
thought.
couldn't
Newman.
think about it.
Newman. Well, hello, Newman.
But after, I mean, as far as beautiful women go in film, after Princess Grace, I think Diane Lane is probably the second most beautiful woman
She's
to
pretty
grace the
damn
screen.
sexy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
She was in one with Michael Douglas. I can't remember that one, but man, was she hot. I think it was Michael Douglas. But
And I also
anyway.
think the woman on the Paramount is based on her, the digital version, not the original one because she wasn't born yet, but the new Paramount logo, the woman holding
the torch.
the torch looks very much like Diane Lane.
Right. All right, brother. Actor and actress to you.
Well, do you feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Oh, man.
Clint Eastwood
have
is
to.
my favorite actor.
Damn
2A. You know, Dirty Harry. How can you not love and respect him?
God.
My favorite movie he ever did was Sudden Impact. It was the most obvious antagonist-protagonist movie in the history. These, the bad guys, the evil people in this movie were extremely evil. And evil. And one of my favorite lines ever is, "Go ahead, make my day."
Oh, it's probably one of the top pop culture.
Yeah, it's in the
quoted
top
lines.
10 of all lines ever. Absolutely.
Yeah, and he was in any which way you can, and any which way but loose.
Classic.
Right turn, Clyde.
Yeah.
Those are the greatest.
But I mean, this is after the years that we're talking about. But I thought he was incredible in Gran Torino.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and that's
And he's still incredible. And what is he, like 92 now?
And to be honest with you, I think I want to be that way when I'm old. I don't want people standing on my lawn.
Get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn, punk.
And then, of course, Mark, all of his friggin', Westerns.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
Josie
Incredible.
Wales, right?
That's one of the greatest.
Unforgiven.
That's what made him
$12,
probably.
a few dollars more.
Oh, my God. Why can't the big one come
Good,
to
Bad,
me?
and the Ugly.
Thank you.
Oh, there you
That's
go.
it.
Eli
That's
Wallach.
one of the greatest.
You know the amazing thing
Josie
about
Wales,
the amazing thing about Clint Eastwood at this point, and I can't remember how long it's been, but it's been a while. He's one of the few people in Hollywood. It's like he looks at the studios and says, "I want to do a movie," and they say, "Okay, here's your money." and they do it because his movies invariably come in on time, under budget, and are hugely successful.
Oh, yeah.
So the studios just like, okay, good to go, whatever.
And he's producing, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Directing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Directing.
Yeah.
Amazing. $1 Million Baby.
Oh,
Fucking
does
incredible.
That, not Gina Davis, was it?
No, that
that
was.
was,
of course, we all go.
That was a
blank
great
there,
movie.
but-
I mean, he's done so many. I mean,
Hillary Swank.
Thank
Hillary
you.
Swank.
That's
That
it.
was a great. Good. Hey, this guy's got the movies down, you know. But
Sometimes.
anyway, my favorite actress would have been Sandra Bullock, but it's not in the time frame. So I went with Kim Basinger.
Nice. Good pick.
9.5 weeks.
9.5 weeks. Very seductive. She
can
was
leave
in
your
one of the
hat on.
Batman movies, but really, I mean, the biggest reason I picked Kim Basinger is, well, I kind of like her lips or breast.
Oh, yeah. Those big, pouty lips.
Oh my God! And
Her huge acting skills.
yes. And I've been with a lot of quite a few blondes, and I'm married to a redhead, sure, but let that go. Not that many, Val. You know.
Awesome.
Mark will be absent from next week's podcast as he's going through divorce court.
All right.
All before I met you.
So number 3, and that is band. Okay. And for me, everyone knows the obvious. You don't, folks out there yet, because this is episode 1, but you will see that we will be doing a little sidecast called Preachers of the Night on this, but it would be Kiss. I am a lifelong diehard Kiss fan. This band changed my life. I can still remember my brothers, Mark and David. David is now gone. God rest his soul. We lost him a few years ago, but they both got me into this band so thoroughly that I was not allowed to like any other band ever. But I believe it was Dressed to Kill, the first album we had gotten.
That would be correct, sir.
And then I can still remember getting out of the car the day that we came home from Kmart with Love Gun and just seeing that cover with these heroes in makeup and then all these beautiful, big-breasted
Yeah, that
women.
album cover did it for me too.
Falling all over them. And
They were there only to
what
see
would
Paul.
any 7-year-old boy think at that point? and I just fell in love. And to this day, I checked out in about 2002 when Tommy and Eric put the, Catman / Spaceman makeup on, which is Ace Frehley and Peter Criss. And that's me. That doesn't mean you have to check out or anyone else has to check out, but I did. But that doesn't mean I still don't love and cherish this band. And you're going to hear so much about it. But that's all I have to say. To you, Donald.
All right. It's really hard for me to pick one band because I'm like a Mozart to Metallica guy. I like all music. I like all genres. But if I were to pick one from my childhood that I really liked would be Def Leppard. Pyromania was probably my first album that I had. I had it both vinyl and cassette, and I played it front and back over and over again. So that's probably the band that I would associate with my childhood most favorite band. Yeah,
absolutely.
But I liked a lot of the bands at that time and kind
of course
mixed music taste. But that's the one I narrowed down.
This is your favorite right now.
You're eclectic,
right?
Yeah.
You're eclectic, right?
Oh, yeah, I think we all are very much, But
Yeah, you like all of the Kiss albums.
fuck you. All right, Kev, what do you got?
Donnie's Mozart to Metallica. AJ is Love Gun to
rock and roll over.
Rock and roll, right. So, again, much like our friend Dongo here, I do really enjoy many, many different styles of music. It'd be easier to list the ones that I don't like. Not a huge opera fan. And let's say rap country. Everything else I'm pretty much open for, and I'll even take a little bit of those. But we are talking about generally the 80s, and I was a huge Clash fan.
Nice.
And a lot of people debate the name The Clash, and I always just assumed it was because the style of music that they were playing was supposed to be people that were devoid of musical talent.
Yeah, it was kind of punkish.
And they were very talented.
Yeah.
And that was a bit of a clash.
Right.
That they were talented punk musicians. But incredible songwriters, great players, and just kind of a raw, edgy approach to the music. Joe Strummer was one hell of a vocalist.
Yeah.
It's odd being my age now because I will play it while my 17-year-old son is around. And I think it was Straight to Hell off Combat Rock. And he was, "Are you listening to MIA?" And I'm like, no. Or Mia or whatever the fuck they call her,
Right.
who sampled that song. And that
Right.
kind of went beyond sampling to just like she played that song while she was rapping. And
Right.
so it's kind of mind blowing at this age to think that your child is familiar with your music through a whole different, route.
Absolutely. Awesome pick. All right, brother, to you.
Okay, with apologies to Uncle Ted and 70s Aerosmith, I'm also going with Kiss. Big shock here.
Right?
Big shock. I love the band. I love most of their phases in the band. I was sitting up watching TV in Guilford one night, and they had this variety show on, and they had Kiss they were doing Rockin' in the USA, and I just loved how Gene would go, "I'm flying in a 747."
Yes.
That little growl or whatever. And it was like, wow, I like that.
Yep.
It just hit me. And I went searching for the records and trying to find that song, to be honest with you. And again, we came home with Dress to Kill, and I thought Rock Bottom might have been it. It obviously wasn't. It wasn't even Gene singing. But, we just loved the band. We were into it towards the tail end of their peak, actually. As a matter of fact, it was after the solo records. The first record that came out in our fandom was Dynasty. And it's like, what's going on here? Yeah. I mean, Kiss was always kind of a chameleon trying to go with the letter of the day, the flavor of the day,
Right.
I would say. And, they tried the disco, then they went certainly heavy during my two favorite records are Lick It Up and Creatures, but then they went pop, and then they tried to go grunge, and they brought the reunion. They brought Peter and Ace back, and that was my favorite time.
Oh man, it was incredible.
And
and then the second reunion, and then the third.
Yeah. Well, but when they started losing me was actually prior to Ace and Tommy Thayer and Eric Singer wearing their makeup. It was actually during Psycho Circus, and the immeasurable disappointment I had when I found out that on the entire record, the only song that they all played on together was Ace's song "Into the Void," and it's just I just can't believe I was so upset. They could have done any worse than some of the crap that they put out on that record.
Absolutely.
And
the two, the two after that too. But we don't even know those really.
But
if they had quit, or if they right after the Unplugged, when they did Unplugged, that was awesome.
Friggin' incredible.
It was amazing, right? If they had done a reunion tour after Unplugged and then called it quits.
Yeah, maybe 2 tours, and one record where they all played on.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we all thought they were doing. But then they claimed that was the farewell to Ace and Peter. And then played for 2 more decades.
Yeah.
I mean, they're making money. You can't, hey.
Well, again, and we've
society.
talked about this amongst ourselves. They make more money in 3 nights on a tour,
right,
in this era than they would have for the first 10 tours.
Yep, exactly.
Because it's $9 million for a nosebleed seat.
Yeah, and so many people fucking pay it, which is ridiculous because every time, I get tickets for free now, usually through the beer companies. So I don't think I paid since Tommy and Eric, but I did go to a lot of shows because I wanted to show the girls and, some friends of mine to see the spectacle. But if you looked at tickets, though, at 3 days before the show, you paid $30 when the guy beside you paid $800. So you just got to be smart.
You got to be patient.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right.
So anyway, in conclusion, with the band Kiss, I didn't mean to disparage them. No. Didn't like what they did the last 25 years or so. No. However, they will still always remain my favorite band because
to love someone is to criticize.
Right? Damn
That's
right.
true. And
that's so true.
God, I feel so much love.
All right.
Yeah.
So now we are moving on to news stories. Okay. And mine is the 1980 Olympic hockey team.
that was a
miracle on ice.
Just
one game.
Such
and boy, did we need that.
Amazing time. Great. HBO did an incredible documentary on that. I can watch that over and over. Always brings tears to my eyes. But Herb Brooks, who got yanked at the last second before he was going to play in the Olympic hockey team, he had a vengeance. He wanted to come back and kick ass, and he did. And it was the midst of the Cold War, the Iran hostage crisis. Just there was so much going on during this, and the way it lifted our country, my hair's standing up literally right now. It was just fucking amazing to me. And
it was a feat that, because they were amateur athletes, because America still used the amateur athletes while other countries were using their pros. Yeah. And, Herb Brooks's speech before that and the movie, it's one of those rah, rah, let's go, baby.
Yeah. Play your game.
Because he was right. Your game. You play them 9-10 times, they're going to win 9, but they won that one game.
And Russia was unstoppable at that point.
They would come to the NHL, they would have these series, exhibition series through the 70s. And they would pretty much kick the NHL's ass.
It was 13-0, I think, just before going into the Olympics. And that was our NHL pros. And then lots of players from Boston and Minnesota were a huge part of that team.
Jim Craig.
And those people, that they were rivals. So it was really tough to mold them as a team. And once they became a team, man, it was just incredible. Incredible story.
Yeah. Well, that's, you mentioned that uplifting for our country. I mean,
Oh my God.
being born in that era, I think back to the early 80s and the time before that, where we still had teachers that were in the classroom were still talking about America as a bad thing, as a bad concept, as a bad idea.
Yeah.
I mean, people were reeling from the Vietnam War. There was a lot of, anti-US sentiment around the world and here in the States. And that was kind of a turning point where there was some national pride and things started to turn around for us, the shining city on the hill.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. All right, Donnie, to you.
All right. Well, you kind of preluded to mine, which was during the same time as the Iran hostage situation.
Yes.
That was a big news story in my childhood to see, Americans being held hostage with, things over their eyes. And it was a very scary time. And I didn't understand what was going on. And they tried to rescue them and they had a failed rescue.
Yeah.
But that was it was pretty, tie a yellow ribbon round the old oak tree. Yeah. And you saw the ribbons and you just think, what's that for?
Yeah. That was
But yeah, I mean, that was kind of my thing.
nice.
And learning about it after goes down another rabbit hole for another day.
Absolutely. But yeah, very, very strange as a young child to
Scary.
witness that and,
Right.
and think that could happen. But, not to go too far down the rabbit hole, as you said, but that's what weakness gets you as a country.
Yep.
And that's
Mos Eisley.
what we had. Moving on, my news story, the one that affected me the most, and of course there was many things that we could talk about. I won't list them because that would not be fair. But the one that struck me the most was just so fucking senseless. And that was the murder of John Lennon. I mean, I can still close my eyes and remember that morning talking to my friends at school being 10 years old. And why would somebody kill? And I mean, we can debate who John Lennon was. I mean, I always thought that he was a little bit of a fraud. He was selling peace and love.
Right.
And I don't know that he really, from what I've read, he didn't really live the things that but the man did not deserve to be shot and killed in front of his home for no reason at all.
Right.
Just kind of, and that again, as we were at that age, to see something so violent and senseless. I mean, which then oddly, skyrocketed the Double Fantasy album.
Right.
Except for I think it was the fourth side that had.
And the whole play backwards and Paul will die and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, well, yeah, the Paul is dead. Yeah, that's like 4 episodes right there. But no, like I think that the only thing that held that album back was the tracks that Yoko sang.
Oh my God! You mean the track she screamed?
Yeah, listen, we all do crazy things for love, so you got to give it up to John Lennon for Yoko. I mean, it's. The
fifth Beatle.
It is. Yeah. No, let's go with Billy Preston, not Yoko.
Well, then
Or Eddie Murphy.
Pete Best.
Eddie Murphy was the fifth Beatle.
What about Pete Best? Best. He was the original drummer. The poor guy.
Right.
Because his dad had money for the equipment. I think was.
And you know why Paul didn't want him in the band? Because he thought he was cuter than him, and he wanted to be the cute guy.
Right.
All right, Mark.
Okay, let me take you back. 1980, okay? Where is America right now? We're relying on the United States Hockey Olympic team to pull us out of the depression we're in, and Jimmy Carter's out there with his cardigan sweater telling us to wear sweaters instead of turning the heat up. We got inflation, double-digit inflation. We're in a malaise, and there's a new election. A man who would bring in the crazy, roaring 1980s, the best years ever, in my view. Ronald Reagan came in, and this is during the hostage crisis. Reagan won, 479 electoral votes.
Landslide.
Absolutely. This is, the next one, he only lost one state. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember when Reagan was inaugurated. what happened with the hostages? I don't remember. Could you tell me what
I
happened?
do remember them getting off the plane here in the United States.
Thank you very much.
They didn't wait for him to get inaugurated.
And like
Iran went, yeah, we're not going to play this game anymore
Right.
because this guy's crazy enough.
Yeah, and
He'll do it.
and the fact is like you said earlier, weakness. That's what happens when you come from a position of weakness. And
Yes.
and the 80s, I mean, Reagan is pretty much the poster child of the 1980s. He had lots of fans on both sides. They had a thing called Reagan Democrats.
Right.
And he
Right.
won states like Massachusetts, California, Oregon, Washington.
Yep. The shining city on the hill.
And
Yes.
those are great 8 years. I mean,
Yeah.
Unbelievable 8 years.
And set things in motion for the next decade as well. We ate spaghetti 7 nights a week when Carter was president.
Right.
bad
And then
times.
Ronald Reagan got elected, and I tasted steak.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, on a personal
And
level,
we could
it
put
worked for
gas
me.
in our car.
And we could put gas car. You didn't have to wait for an odd or even day to fill up your fucking
Oh, that
gas
was the
tank.
other thing. Yes, the gas.
The gas lines
Shortage,
and
the
the
gas lines.
OPEC
Unbelievable.
was
Which
flexing
again,
their muscles and
Right.
yeah.
Without going too far down that road, we were told back then that we were running out of fossil fuels. Do you think that today's world uses more fossil fuels in one day
Oh my God. It's
than an
insane.
entire year back in 1976? I'm guessing yes. We haven't run out.
No, we
have not
haven't.
run out.
You know what was interesting about the end of Reagan's presidency is they said he might have had dementia.
He
True,
did end up
true.
with
wonder
it.
who
That's how he
might
died.
have that now.
No, he had it before he even ran.
Right. All I'm saying is Nancy did a heck of a job while Ronnie was
Lapses.
suffering from
Yeah.
the yes.
Oh, the gunshot. He got shot by Hinckley.
Well,
Well,
right?
that was a great
Yeah,
news
yeah.
story for that time. I thought about saying that one because
thank
that was
God
that
he
was a
lived,
big
man.
one. Yeah.
Thank God he lived.
Talk about this. You were talking about Miracle on Ice making you tear up. I almost just did there because I remember the story about the doctor when they rolled him in because he got shot and he wanted to go home. He was like he didn't want to. He
Yeah.
hadn't. I guess the adrenaline hadn't realized what had happened yet or whatever. But as they're wheeling him into the hospital, he famously asked the doctor if he was a Republican. And the doctor said, "I am today, sir."
Perfect. All right. Moving on to number 5. This is going to be another 5A and 5B. It's going to be an indoor activity and an outdoor activity. And for my indoor, yes, it's roller skating. As crazy as it sounds, back in the 80s, we had the Guilford roller rink. Every Friday night, I would be there playing arcade games, skating around during the snowball, trying to pick out a girl. Just that was the place to go to meet
Ladies'
girls
choice.
from other towns.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had the men's choice snowball. You know, I'd try to be cool shooting the duck in front of the ladies that I liked. You know what that
Why
is?
wouldn't that work?
Right. Roller skating was cool because you didn't have to dance. Like dancing sucks. Right.
It does. Especially if you're
we all
white.
go to clubs. We don't like to dance. You know, you like to sit at the, but at least you could just skate around in circles and still look somewhat cool.
Somewhat.
Nice to do this
Cool,
little tiny
exactly.
inner circle.
Hold their hand.
Right. They did have the hold hand couple session.
That was the
but-
snowball.
Right,
Yep.
yeah.
The girls would line up on one side and the guys would pick, and then they'd swap it up and the girls would pick. But the arcade games there were awesome.
Yeah.
Just everything about
They
it
would
was
The girls
great.
picked?
rank the tunes.
Yeah.
too.
They never picked me.
Oh, right. And then my outdoor activity was baseball. I was very, very huge into baseball through farm league all the way through little league. I played little league for 12 years, and I'm not patting myself on the back.
Excuse
here.
me? You played Little League for 12 years.
I'm sorry. I played little league for 4 years. Yes, all 4 years is my point. I made it.
I need to see that kid's birth certificate.
And
yeah, that's what they do in like the Dominican and
Right?
yeah, with the napkin, I am 12.
Baseball been very, very good to me.
Anyway, my coach came over to meet with my parents to tell them to make sure that they put me in all the baseball camps because I could become something someday in the sport. And the next year, I did not go to camp. I moved to Hinsdale, New Hampshire, the southern western armpit of New Hampshire. And my life, at that point, that's when I, turned for the worse for a few years. And I really regret that and have great hatred for it. Although I have some great memories in that town as well. But I just, I really hated that we had to move that year. It
Sounds
really
familiar.
fucked things up. Yes, exactly. But anyway, enough of that. I will go to you, Donald.
All right. So my indoor and outdoor are kind of very similar. So my indoor activity was playing with army men.
Yeah.
I love the plain old green army men,
Damn right.
Absolutely.
Cowboys and Indians
Yeah.
too.
No, never got in with those, but definitely got in with the army guys. And it was always like World War II army guys against Nazis, pretty much, like German soldiers.
Well, we can still hate that.
They were the
Right.
yellow
Oh, yeah.
ones. Right?
Absolutely.
They were
the yellow
grayish.
ones.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, I had like this big, huge Guns and Navarone set that was like a thing. It was cool. I loved it.
Very
I hated the radio guy. I hated the the prone sniper guys because you really
The lying down.
yeah
one,
they
you
could
mean?
all they
prone
could
guy?
do was
I
lie.
like the prone guy was
And the
cool. I
binocular
liked him
guy,
too,
but the
yeah.
binocular guy got cool in Toy Story, which was kind of
exactly.
cool,
Right.
But
what was he gonna like? Had the radio guy and the binocular guy. What are they gonna do to defend themselves? You got fucking binoculars.
I
Get
know.
a shot at, dude. What are you?
You're gonna throw 'em.
lousy, lousy thing to have. Like you're going to be the radio guy. Oh, great!
Awesome. I'll just die now. What about the grenade guy? He was cool.
I like the grenade guy.
What about
He was kinda
bazooka?
cool, but he never threw it though.
bazooka guy was
Yeah, bazooka guy was kind of cool. Yeah. Right.
Loved Army
I love the Army guys.
Mm-hmm.
Played with them quite a bit. And then my outdoor activity was playing war. Like we used to.
Oh, yeah.
Like when I grew up in East Bridgewater, Massachusetts, we played in a sand pit and we played war. And shows and movies at the time were like Red Dawn, Uncommon Valor, Bridge Too Far, Battle of the Bulge. And we would like reenact these scenes like get to the chopper, like in Uncommon Valor, and
Yeah,
like carry
that's
each
one of
other
my
over our
favorites.
shoulders.
Kelly's hero.
And we used to
Yes.
play like war, like shoot 'em up war and bang you're dead kind of thing.
Yep.
But
Nowadays,
I actually
that's
dug
frowned upon.
I dug a pit in the backyard and put like a cardboard over it with hay, and it was like in Red Dawn when they popped up out of the ground. I just loved playing army guys.
Oh, it was so
and then I
fun.
went into the Navy for some reason, but yeah.
you didn't play Navy guys though.
Well, there's,
It's true.
there's another story
That
with
makes
that.
no sense.
As much as we all love Red Dawn, you just got to wonder at what point did the Russians think, if we take over that small town in Colorado, the rest of, if we get that high school,
It will just fall.
the rest of the U.S. falls. We just have to concentrate all our forces.
Yeah.
Where
It's
Patrick
that football
Swayze-
team that's going to end us.
Right.
Great movie, though.
Great
Yep.
movie.
Now that we slam it.
That's what we do.
That was a great. I love that movie.
What do you got, Kev?
Well, I'm going to tell you, my indoor activity. There's so much room for activities now that we
Yeah,
have
right.
the bunk beds. There's actually, I wasn't thinking about this. What I'd written down was, again, I'm a warmonger like Donnie over here. I used to love to play the board game Risk
Oh, I love that game.
because
Yeah.
I would play with my grandfather and my father, who would totally ignore me as I amassed massive armies in Australia. That was the Australian gambit. I would
it's a
take the
country,
four.
it's a continent.
Exactly. You only had to
Easy to
protect, the
protect.
one
Yeah.
entrance, and then you had those extra armies. So while they're decimating each other, I'm down there building my little thing,
Yep,
and they're
just
not
kinda-
paying attention to me.
Right.
And then after one of them get really big and they'd smash the shit out of each other and be, have one army in each territory, I would come out and annihilate my entire elders, all of them at once. It was great. But what I totally forgot.
The ones who went through the Second World War.
My grandfather
the
absolutely
Vietnam
was.
War.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, my father did. My grandfather
Got
was
their ass kicked by Australia.
right. My grandfather's transport actually got sunk D-Day in the English Channel. He swam back to England, and
Good
the
choice.
next day they dropped him on the beaches of Normandy, where he was on cleanup duty. He did not say
to be
much
rough.
more about
Not a
that.
good,
I don't-
not a good
I don't
cleanup duty.
right.
Yeah.
But the thing that I forgot is something that I still do as an indoor activity. If you look around the room, you might see friggin' Legos are still the best.
Yeah.
I absolutely love Legos. So I'm not going to talk too much about that because I'm doubling down on indoor activities. I'll be short on the outdoor activities, possibly. Simply the woods.
Oh, the woods.
This is something where I think if today's youth, if you left them out in the woods, they'd probably die within 7 to 10 minutes. Where we used to dam up brooks, we used to climb trees, we used to go around, build forts, tree houses. We would go around and find dead trees and knock them down, get a running start, and run into a dead tree and rip it out of the ground. No, it was great playing in the woods. Your mother loved it because you came home and you had I would get the black flies in the spring would bite the hell out of me, and I'd get these huge welts on my head. I'd be in the swamp up to my beyond my knees and just covered with whatever muck and swampiness.
All right, that's number 5 to you, Mark.
Okay, my favorite indoor activity actually goes to a friend's house, or actually 2 friends' house, called the Twins.
Yes.
They lived right down the street from us, Stevie and Billy. Me and my brother David went there just about every night for a while there, and we would go down in the basement and we would play floor hockey. We would play this basketball game where you would tires at each end of the basement. And they were bike tires, and you would to get the basket, your 2 points, you had to get the ball inside of the tire. And we would
what's the Harry Potter? It's kind of Quidditch like.
Yeah. And we would play that, and my favorite game we ever played, we only got to play it once, and from that point forward, I was always begging to play it, but it was called Glowing Juice. You would put kabuki stuff on your face, and it was just so much fun, I thought. We would sneak up on each other and see the other guy with makeup, and they wouldn't let me play it anymore. So, but no, I mean, those are the 2 games I do remember down there. I mean, we just had a blast, and the funnest game that we ever played, though, was once we were done, we all had to pick up our toys, and I had this little game that I would sneak out of the house, and they would come and tackle me and bring me back, but there were other times when I got away, and all the way home, I'm just laughing my head off. I did it. I got away with it, And
what game was that?
That was the me game.
The Mark's not cleaning up game.
The Mark went, get the hell out of here. I know.
I'm running away.
But it was a game more than anything.
I think it was called Peace Out, Bitches.
Exactly.
It was just a game. I mean, I don't know if I went back. I don't think I did. But we would, we'd drink Kool-Aid and just play and play and play.
The Walkers. Yep.
Yeah.
Dixie Walker's kid.
Oh, yes.
Yep. He was a Nissan man, too.
Oh, yeah. Don't let your babies grow up to be bread man. Dad used to sing that to us.
Yep.
Outdoor activity. Back in those days, as you know, this is the 70s, not the 80s, in Littleton, New Hampshire. And we would all day play stuff. I mean, either between going to the swimming pool, the town pool, but mostly we would play football, baseball, street hockey, basketball. We would do hide and seek in the earlier years. But by far my favorite thing ever is, and to the point where I got grounded from doing this one activity, was fishing.
Yes.
Once I learned how to fish up there, and we're talking the Ammonoosuc River. You're talking about a river that you can fish for trout all year. Down my way in southern New Hampshire, you get to July and it's over.
Yep.
At least in the rivers. Anyway, specifically was fishing up at Apthorpe Dam. It had all these nice holes. The fishing was always decent. You very rarely went up there and got skunked. I remember catching a big brown trout, dropping it in the water and going back in to grab it, and but some of the things that we would do back in these days, okay, you got this long waterfall with water going over it, and what would we do? We would take the ladder down and walk across the waterfall, okay? Then you had this long wall down there that put you in a good fishing spot, and you had to go down this ladder, and it was awful. I was a little nervous about that, but I did it anyway, and I lost a brown trout What is so funny?
Mark the holes, the dropping of the brown trout. It was just
One time
funny.
I lost it. I had a
it's so
snag,
good.
and the sinker went and hit me right in the teeth. But
that sucks.
Well,
Came straight back at you.
right in my teeth. But anyway, get this one. Listen, this is my story. I get to talk. You guys. So anyway, I was up there fishing on the right side of the dam. And I cast down. I actually had almost a 15-inch brown on it, and it got caught in the the brown trout in the brush. And I had to snap the line. Well, I was walking home, and I saw my good friend Ollie LaFlamme, and we went back. We went down on that scary wall. We went down, and we grabbed that trout. That trout came home with me, and that's the biggest trout.
Was he snagged, or did you re-catch him?
No, he was snagged on the. He wouldn't have made it. So I mean,
nice. No,
so, I
good.
mean, I guess technically I caught it. I don't know.
Caught it twice.
But, we'd fish on top of the dam. We would fish on the bottom. It was always good fishing. Like I said, it's a small town. You don't have a lot of fishing pressure up there.
For the record,
Glad you guys thought it
those
was-
of you that couldn't see, 3 of the 4 of us were trying not to laugh out loud, but
Not
it
doing
was
well
to
at
no
it.
avail.
Yeah, it's your turn this week.
All right. So we are at number 6 now, which is favorite item, something we, loved to have in our possession back then. And mine was my BMX bike. It was a GT Pro Performer. Back then we had the shop is still there now, Pichet's Ski and Sport Shop. And back then, I'm 10 years old and I could walk into this place. I could pick a bike and say, yeah, put that on my mom's account and ride it out. It was a riot.
Did she know about
but
this?
She did know about
Okay.
it. Dad did not. But
course
anyway, it was a $350 BMX bike. Back then, that was huge money. And it had all the pegs. It was freewheel, double brakes, all the freestyle things on it. And I lived on my bike. I mean, from the day I could ride one until I had my license, I lived on it. And back then, they didn't have gears. So when you went to ride up a hill, you weren't shifting down. You either gunned it or you got off and pushed. But I lived on my bike. I, went to the beach every day, just everything about it. That bike was my life, just building ramps and doing everything on my bike.
Back then, your bicycle was your first taste of freedom. It was your ride. It was how you got places. It was everything. I did not have a mother that had an account at a bicycle shop. I got kind of, as things changed from standard banana seat kind of bicycles to the BMX thing. I remember I had to convert. It was a Schwinn Hornet. Had a gas tank and a motorcycle seat.
Yeah,
and it was
I
the
remember
antithesis of what a BMX bike was, because it was 9 million pounds.
Yeah.
So as things shifted and BMX came into existence in the early days of it, I had to steal the seat off my sister's 10-speed and take the big motorcycle banana seat and the plastic gas tank off mine and sand it down and paint it flat black. And I could bunny hop with it, but like I said, it weighed about 9,000 pounds. I think if the practice I had doing any stunts on that, the tabletop, the bunny hop, all those things, if I had an actual lightweight chrome alloy bicycle, I probably could have jumped a duplex.
Oh.
Because that thing was huge.
The other thing it had mag wheels too, this thing.
Oh, I love the mag
Those were
wheels.
big. But the beauty of it was just, the beach, I believe, was 6 to 8 miles from my house. And at, 7 years old, I would ride my bike alone to the beach. And that is why those were the greatest times on earth, because you fucking try to see a kid do that now. It's not happening.
Right.
All right. Walking across the waterfall.
Yeah. To you, Donnie.
All right. My favorite item, this again was another tough one, but I went with the Daisy 880 BB pellet gun.
You'll shoot your eye out.
Right. I know. I was thinking of a Christmas Story and shoot your eye out.
Yeah.
My grandfather was a very staunch hunter, and he had one, and he taught me how to fire it and how to hold it and how to treat firearm safety and all that. Taught me right. And then I got one from my parents, and I pretty much, air quotes, pretty much used good gun safety techniques. But I remember one time I took a shot up in the air at a plane that was flying by. Now, this is a commercial airliner, probably at 30,000 feet. But at 10 years old, I'm like, oh my God, what did I just do?
Yeah. Was that so did you pump that
I might have
times?
shot a plane.
Because I think with the Daisy 88, was that a pump?
It was a pump.
was a
Yeah, and you
So
can
I-
multi-pump.
Right. So I think
Yeah.
by 10, you could get to the 30,000 foot mark. I think that was...
Right, I had no idea about ballistics and range and anything like that. Well, anyways, I remember you and I
hope
playing
they
with
survived, man.
it in the woods. AJ and I were playing it in the woods, and we were playing war. Like I was saying before, we were playing war, and we had a 3-pump minimum. And I remember shooting AJ, and he was like, "Oh my God,"
Was
you
that
were
a
like
minimum
that. You
or
were
a
like,
maximum?
You were like, "That's bullshit." You shot me with
Maximum.
more. So you took it and you pumped it 4 times and shot me like I was a prisoner of war. Remember? Do you remember that?
Dug a little hole,
Yeah.
stood you up by it,
Yeah.
poured some lime on you.
Very safe. I never recommend anybody shooting each other with a BB gun. There was a friend of mine in Massachusetts that got shot by a BB gun and almost pierced his aorta. He was pretty dangerous.
That's a
they're
strong
definitely
BB gun.
Yeah. So
and we shot each other.
yeah,
with
for the
them.
most part, like I said, I respected gun safety and da 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 da. But when we got
Until we
older,
played war.
we got older and we realized it's a BB gun. It's not going to hurt. 3-pump minimum. But yeah, that it's fucking
maximum.
hurt. Yeah.
3 punches.
Stop bringing up your
Maximum.
sex
Yeah.
life.
At this
Yeah.
point,
Yeah.
we here at Pastimes at 80s High would like to just state the fact that we do not support shooting your friends in any way, shape, or form.
Yes, correct.
I got a question,
Right.
guys. Does a B? I mean, I've been shot with a BB before many times, but not a paintball. What hurts more?
a BB.
A BB, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Paintballs hurt too.
Yeah, they certainly do.
Certainly, yeah.
Some good, nice welts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn right.
Yeah.
That's a great pick.
But again, with
Donald.
the BB, it if you're getting the Daisy Red Ryder single cock, 20 feet away, it's not going to hurt that bad.
just watch
But
the
if it's
eyeballs.
but if it's point blank,
Yeah, the
yeah,
stinger
it's gonna hurt. Yeah,
It's a sting.
yeah. Like Kevin was saying, we don't recommend the shooting of a human being.
Don't try this at home, children.
Do not.
Right.
This was the 80s when
Right.
everybody wasn't
Yeah.
a pussy. I mean, when things were
Right.
different.
Eye protection, all that kind of stuff.
6 to you, Kev.
All right. My favorite item, right to the heart of the matter, was my Fisher Rack stereo system. 15-inch subwoofers. Yeah. I don't know how many million watts that it was, but it was awesome. Turntable, dual cassette deck,
Yeah,
4,200 band EQ.
one piece too, right?
They were
stack.
multiple pieces, but they were sold as one. It had the cabinet with the soft closed door, the
yeah.
glass door, and all that. But those speakers were absolutely amazing. As a matter of fact, later in life, I took the 15-inch subs out and put them into my car. Yes, my Plymouth Sundance thumped.
I know. Back in the 80s, you had to have the big.
Yes, that was a big thing with the
absolutely.
80s. Yes.
I was not a DJ professionally, but when there was a party, I would bring that system to people's houses. And
All right, brother.
Okay, well, with all due respect to my Mitchell 300 open face fishing reel, I have to go with AJ a bit, and mine was a Huffy Bluebeard 5-speed bicycle.
Yes.
I mean, I loved that thing. I went everywhere on it. It had like a rack in the back. It had 5 speeds, obviously. Had the banana seat. This is back when they made low-end bikes, but I loved this little thing. Couple stories about bikes back in those days. Well, there was a time me and Fred and Kevin Presley, we were up at the top of the Brook Road in Bethlehem, and I was going down with said Bluebeard, pedaling as fast as I can down a hill. Well, of course, I was not thinking too well because the bike started to shake, and oh my goodness, there goes Mark over the top
shimmies.
handles.
Yeah.
Oh, and there are Fred and Kevin laughing their asses off. Oh,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, those hurt.
Another thing is back in the day, the freewheel versus the back brake. You know what I mean?
Well, this was they were hand brakes.
Yeah.
They were hand brake. I would have preferred the hand brake. I mean the foot brakes, but
Yeah,
this
but
was
the
a
foot brakes
5-speed,
get away from you, though.
which kind of contradicts AJ. Sorry, but
Yeah.
Well,
they did have gears back then. But so anyway, another story about bikes up there. I don't know if I jumped with the Bluebeard. I probably did, but the store right next to us, we would put a ramp up. This is during the days of Evel Knievel, jumping cars and trying to jump Snake River canyons and stuff like that. But we would line up like cordwood people, and we would
Absolutely.
jump them. You remember that?
oh yeah, we did that.
You
Oh,
did
for
that too?
sure.
I
Yeah.
used to get landed on
Yes.
all the
Oh,
time.
man.
Yeah, well, we put AJ at the end, thinking
Yeah, I
he
want to
was-
be the first guy.
Yeah,
Right.
and yeah, can you imagine being able to do that now? Just things that you just don't. They don't do anything. These pencil neck geeks that.
They're all just too damn paranoid.
Oh yeah, and another
Safe,
thing I want to say,
safe.
just we were going to the gymnastics the other day, and you're driving by school bus stops, and there's all these cars lined up to pick up their kids. Are you kidding me?
You know what drives me
A mile from home.
freaking crazy
they could
is
walk.
the bus stops and then it goes like 100 yards
At the
and
most.
stops again for another kid, like a single kid. And it's like, dude, you can't walk 100 yards to
Exactly.
the.
The street I grew up on. Now, here's the thing. I lived across the street from the school, so it didn't affect me. I was a walker and rider, not a bus.
Mm-hmm.
But my street was 5 miles long. There were 2 stops.
Right.
You walked your ass
That's
2.5
right.
miles to one or the other if
Yep.
you were riding the bus.
You were lucky if you had
Period.
shoes too.
Right.
You know,
Right, uphill in the snow.
Yeah.
Both
Where
ways.
where I was, if you were in a 1.5 mile radius, there was no. I think it might even been 2 miles. No bus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You had to walk or ride your bike.
right. Walk it.
Pussies. So number 7 here, and I'm kind of. Yeah, I don't
Wait,
know
is this
if
number 7 or number 1?
That's however you want to look at it.
Okay.
It's TV show, and I'm kind of cheating here because it's not the typical thing that one would think. But I am going with the Headbangers Ball.
Yes.
All right. Now this show to me was my life. Every Saturday night we would order from Mrs. Pizza.
Blueberry Lane.
Yeah. We would go to John's house, and I believe it was the basement. We would play hacky sack in and just couldn't wait till midnight. Ricky Rackman hosting at that point after Adam Curry lost a job because he just was not metal enough.
Because he was Adam Curry.
Yeah, exactly. And then the videos on it, that's when we really started getting into the heavier stuff.
You came to my house too.
Yeah, all the time. Blueberry Lane for sure. And look, I get it right there, Mark. Blueberry Lane. And
Is that
just
in L.A.?
oh yeah, it was unbelievable. And I'll never forget seeing Unholy come on for the first time. Kiss Unholy. And just seeing Kiss back to the heavy and Gene Simmons looking ballsy and kick ass and battle axe.
Thank you, Vinny Vincent.
Yep. And I don't know, that show was not just a television show, but it was a way of life for us. Like, we looked forward to it. It was 3 hours long. I mean, the fucking thing ended at 3 a.m., so we're home at 4, and I don't know, it was a way of life, and that is why it is my favorite show. And that would go to you, Dongo.
All right. So for me, I took one that kind of led my career path, and that was Emergency. Squad 51, Rampart, and
Structure
all that
fire.
good stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Roy
Johnny
DeSoto.
Gage and Roy DeSoto.
Yeah.
Randy Rantooth. What was the guy's
Randolph
Randy
Mantooth.
Mantooth.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
And Kevin T.
Yeah, I love that show. It was
Saturday night.
Yep. and got me wanting to be a firefighter, paramedic back in the day.
Rampart.
And I ended up, I wanted to do other things, and then I kind of came back to that's what I want to do with my life, and that's what I ended up doing, become a firefighter, paramedic. And that show has 4 people in the emergency services. Like, it actually did drive the kind of the narrative of paramedicine, because before that show, basically you called an ambulance, you got like it was like funeral home people were doing ambulances.
Yeah.
Like, they would put you in a hearse and just drive you to the hospital. They wouldn't do anything from A to B. And then that show kind of said, hey, we need to do something on scene, get you to the hospital alive, and do things on the scene. And that,
Save your life.
right. And,
Right, exactly.
and because of that show, it wasn't the sole factor, but it was a driving factor in kind of increasing paramedicine in the world.
And they always saved the structure fire for the end.
Yeah.
Right. The big money scene.
Yeah.
But that was very well showcased in that, how much their hands were tied and how new that whole concept was
right.
of a fireman actually knowing something
Cardiology.
about
Yeah.
how to, help somebody. And they were always talking to Dixie back at Rampart.
Yeah. Yep.
And no matter whether it was a LSD overdose or a car accident, it was 5 cc's of Ringer's Lactaid was the cure for everything.
Right.
That I believe that was all they were approved to. Let's set him up with 5 cc's of Ringer's Lactaid and wait for transport.
Right. Yeah, that was their classic order.
It's
But
like
I mean,
now it's always Ativan.
no, I wish.
He lost his leg in a motorcycle accident.
Yeah.
Well, give him 5 cc's of Ringer's Lactaid.
All right, Kevin, to you.
To me, okay. So this one, if you guys want to, I don't know. It is what it is. It's still on the air. It's not worth watching anymore. But I remember the very first episode as a young man, maybe 6, 7 years old. Because of the hype, I guess my parents let me stay up till 11:30 to watch it, and it became a classic that every Saturday night my father, my mother, my older sister would all fall asleep, and I would be watching this program. And I still, to this day, turn it on, as aggravating and depressing as it is that they'd call it humor. But Saturday Night Live formed so much of my humor, that and Monty Python back in the day.
Oh my God.
But what an amazing show, and so many changes, which always gives me hope, because like by the 80s, well, by today's standards, it was hilarious, but it wasn't as good as the original Not Ready for Primetime cast. It wasn't Belushi, but there were still great shows. Mary Gross, there was Tim Kazurinsky,
Chevy Chase.
Well, Chevy Chase was, he was gone by that point.
Eddie Murphy.
But even those lulls, though, you always kind of, they weren't that bad, but they'd come around, and then an Eddie Murphy would show up, and it was just invigorating. And Piscopo to a lesser, but what a great comedian he is and was, also known as Danny Verman.
Yes.
But nowadays it's like,
Political
you don't have to stay up till 11:30. You can get up and watch it on YouTube and watch.
But there
every
isn't
little
anything
clip.
worth watching.
I know,
I
it
still
sucks.
look at it,
But
and
back
it's like
in the
it's
day, you didn't get that replay,
and I can't.
and the only
help
way you
but
get it
be
is
there.
from
Right,
like the
exactly,
pop culture
'cause it
people
was
replaying
live.
it. And,
Exactly. And the thing is, I try to temper it with, is it because I'm old? The world's moved on, but I just watch this stuff, and it's not even that it's not funny. It's vitriolic, which is terrible, because it was such a great show. I mean, think about the people, the entertainment that it brought you from, Belushi.
Chris
Aykroyd.
Farley was on that, wasn't he?
Yeah,
exactly.
Oh, God.
yeah.
Down by the river.
Bill Murray to Eddie Murphy to Chris Farley to
Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler, Will Ferrell, all of these careers that started on that show.
Kevin Nealon.
Right.
It's countless. I mean, there's literally hundreds of...
Phil Hartman.
Yeah.
Oh,
God rest
poor
his soul.
Phil.
Yeah.
Yep.
God, why couldn't she have just... Never mind. She could have left him for us and taken herself out if that's where she was going.
know.
Right? But now, so I mean,
Iconic. Yeah.
think
Now it
about that
sucks.
though. The show now. How many of those people have their own movies now?
Right.
Like Lorne Michaels isn't even like, I'm not even going to back these people because he'd lose his shirt.
Exactly.
They don't have any. I mean, one of the great things in all of it was the recurring characters.
Yeah,
and they don't
right.
do that anymore because
Right.
they can't come up with a good recurring
Right,
character.
exactly. Massive head wound Harry.
Right, exactly. I mean, the kid from Keenan and Kel's been on there for like 40 years now.
and
He's made me laugh twice.
I like the
I don't
Hurley
think-
boys.
I don't think
Which
he's
one?
made me laugh once.
The Hurley boy with or
The
Hurley boy
yeah,
with
the Hurley kid.
yeah with
Adam
Sandler,
Sandler,
and,
yeah.
and Farley.
Will Ferrell,
Kid,
you know.
do your laundry. For the love of God,
He'll mow your lawn. What about
let him be your dog.
what about Sandler and Farley doing the Zagat, the restaurant? Oh my God! Farley plays the wife. He's all done up with the lipstick and whatever. He's like, and she's going, "Oh, let's check out this." And Sandler's character's like, "Kill me now! I just want to die."
And the lunch lady.
Oh
He
my
did the
God,
lunch
yes.
lady.
It's, yeah, this
I love
stuff,
that.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, such a fantastic. And
They
I mean,
basically need to get their head out of their ass.
yeah,
That's what they need
yeah,
to do.
because it would be sad
get
to
some
see
funny
it go
people.
away.
Yeah.
It would be sad to see it not happen anymore because
Right.
it's such an institution. But
Yeah.
let's try something weird,
Right.
And
be funny?
instead
exactly.
of being politically biased
Right.
and crapping on half of the
Yep.
world
Exactly.
or more than half, whatever it's
Right.
at.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, Brother Mark.
Okay.
Number 7 to you.
My number one show is from, I believe, the very early 1980s. It took place in California. It was called The White Shadow.
Ah, yeah.
I love that show. I love it dearly. That helped me get through some years. Like AJ, we also moved to a town that I wasn't used to. I lived in Littleton, grew up, and it was a walkable community. You know, it was it was urban in a way. It was just very small. And I moved from that to Guilford, New Hampshire, and it was just very snobby. And that show helped me through. Coach Reeves was Ken Howard was
Ken
the
Howard.
Ken Howard was the actor, and you know, you had guys like Hayward and Coolidge and Salami.
Yep.
And
Hide the
Reese,
salami.
Thorpe. It reminded me a little bit of growing up in Littleton, believe it or not, comparing a major city. But, and you know, it was,
That show
it
was
taught a
phenomenal.
lot of lessons on it. And I just love the show. And it's one of the shows that I would watch in syndication. There's a lot of shows that I could have put on my list, a lot of shows that brought me a lot of laughs throughout the years.
They dealt with real everyday problems that were coming of age, you know, whether it was pregnancy or, you know, just
Drugs,
Yeah.
drug use, strong.
It was just awesome. That's when you could go to your teacher for help, or your coach rather, you know, and instead of being ostracized and, you know, for being a kid, it was just such a friggin' amazing show.
And I used to laugh at the end when they'd say MGM and they'd have the cat dribbling the basketball.
Nice.
You know, they even touched murder. One of the
Yeah.
was it Reese? He went down to the liquor store. I mean, the drinking age was 21 at the time, but I don't know what it was in California, but they sent him down to get booze, and there was a robbery. He got murdered.
Great pick.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, that was great fun. Kevin, thank you for hosting. Guys, thanks for joining us for this.
And thank you very much for listening. And I want to say I'm really looking forward to this podcast. It's going to be a lot of fun topics we're going to talk about, and we'll see you next time.
Awesome.
Excellent. Well, guys, thanks for being here and making this a great time. Look forward to seeing y'all again soon.
It was fun times, guys. Love being here. Thank you all for listening.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you, listeners. And thank you for joining us for Pastimes at 80s High. And we are out.
That Bright Eyes is remarkable. He keeps trying to form words.
You know what they say, human seed, human do.
You've been listening to Pastimes at 80s High. Our passion is the nostalgia from the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. When times were more simple, times were more fun.
Hey, bud, let's party.
And and we weren't stuck in our phones all day.
Inconceivable!
We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, you can send an email to pasttimes@80shigh@gmail.com and hit the website at pasttimes@80shigh.com. See you next time.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.